Welcome to our mini module to support you in reducing workload. I can't say I have all the answers, but hopefully you will be able to think about some of the small things which might help you. Our aims for today are to identify and address issues facing teaching staff around remote learning situations and to support staff in reducing their workload. Education Scotland and the COVID-19 Education Recovery Group have given guidance and advice in developing a shared understanding and expectations of what remote learning means for schools. As teachers, we are being asked to apply this in our own setting and use it as a basis for professional engagement and development. Each school now has a policy for remote learning which teachers and the school community can refer to for further guidance specific to their context to ensure there is quality provision across the breadth of the curriculum. Since the first lockdown, we have learned to adapt our teaching methods and respond to new and changing circumstances and should be proud of our efforts. But nevertheless, we will have faced obstacles and challenges along the way. This training today is to help you to identify and address any issues that you may face when planning, delivering and managing remote learning while trying to maintain our curriculum framework and keeping a focus on learners developing their skills in independent learning. This is a huge ask and has been a big learning curve for us all, so we hope to give some advice and tips in helping you to reduce and manage your workload. Independent tasks. Many of the tasks you set will be flexible to allow completion at a suitable time for the learner or their family circumstances. Therefore, the flipped learning approach is ideal. Pupils will work at a convenient time to read, research, or complete tasks ahead of planned follow-up sessions with you. Using strategies and activities which pupils are comfortable and familiar with from the traditional classroom will prove most beneficial. Sharing learning maps and grids and charts specifying the content to be learned each week will support this approach. Of course, not all independent tasks need to be paper-based or written. Opportunities to extend the learning. Think about giving low floor and high ceiling tasks. These are great for this. There's lots of other really useful ideas on Scotland Learns. Flipping the learning and asking pupils to prepare reading, numeracy tasks before live lessons will give you more time to spend on teaching, modelling and scaffolding learning. Using task maps for follow-up reading work can offer pupils an element of choice in the order that they complete the tasks, if you think a bit about Anne Neal's reflective reading process. Next, we want to think about setting out clearly the expectations that we have and try to anticipate any problems that might come up. So you need to think carefully about your learning so that you're able to give some guidance on the things that might prove to be tricky, and that might reduce the amount of pupils who are requiring further support. Incorporating time to spend on following up independent tasks will not only decrease your marking time, but it could prove opportunities for discussion, which will allow you to find out who's making progress or detect any issues. And remember to celebrate their mistakes. You can then go over some new content in a new way to aid understanding and give feedback and assess next steps in learning. What about stuck strategies? We may be used to using these in the class, but do we remind children of what to do when they're in a learning pit at home? Again, you might want to stop here, pause the video for a short while, and just note down any of the ideas you might have for stuck strategies. Providing a waggle for them to compare against is a really useful tool to use. And once a set of stuck strategies are shared, they can be used and referred to over and over again. Are there any resources provided in home learning tasks to support them? Do we remind them to stay calm? Maybe to take a brain break? Just to maybe reread the question? Using a helpful tool And if they're really stuck, just to have the confidence to skip that problem so that it can be dealt with at another time or speak to you. They might be able to phone a friend, ask an adult. If there's a video linked to what they've been learning, could they go back and watch that first? And then if they indicate which problem they have real difficulty with, then maybe when you're having a live learning session, then they could speak to you about that face to face. What about personalisation and choice? Could you factor in an element of this? Maybe an open-ended project over an extended period of time, which is of a particular interest to them. They could have a set of key elements to include depending on their age and stage and can decide how they will present it when it's completed. For example, it might be a poster talk upon return to school. This is a really great way to extend learning skills for many pupils. So you might say, choose a famous person or a country or an animal, a hobby or a historical event to research and then prepare something to share with the class. We do have to think about resources, and we need to think about how much time that we spend producing, copying, collating packs. Are you making use of the resources which pupils can use over and over again? If they're needing 100 square, are you copying that every single week? Or are you asking them, make sure you keep a hold of this? To save time, think about that balance again of practical and paper-based so that you're not sending out too much. And you also have to think about what resources pupils might have at home. And if they don't have that resource, can you maybe suggest an alternative? Is there a way they could make resources as a practical activity in preparation for a task to save you time in searching and photocopying? But of course, you'll know your own families and how appropriate this might be.